Hello everyone and welcome back to another video where today we are back in American Dream for episode number 5, and I'm really happy with how this episode came out because we don't really do that much necessarily for the park, but we do, what we do takes up a lot of time, or at least it did for me. So you guys are about to watch it in a 20-minute time lapse or so. So of course we are building, like you just saw in the intro, we are building Eclipse. A pair of S&S Drop Towers. If you are unfamiliar with what S&S is, it's a company that makes these air compressed drop towers. So instead of just like a typical cable bringing you up to the top and dropping you down, these actually use air compression to bring you up as well as drop you down or even shoot you down. Some of them have the turbo model where they can shoot you down, and they have a very distinct look to them. The game, for some reason, I don't know why Frontier just doesn't make an S&S drop tower. S&S drop towers are super common. You can find them at so many different parks. Some of the biggest parks in the world have them, and however, though, Frontier just doesn't give us an S&S drop tower. Instead, we have this very strange drop tower that's more similar in line to, like, I would say, like buying like an SBF Visa or something like that. It's more of like a fairground drop tower. But as you can see here, I've already messed up a ton. I know I'm just like ranting about S&S drop towers and why we don't have one in the game, but I'm actually working on screen here, and it's pretty bad. I basically had all the angles off. I did a first attempt with like this, with the actual like pieces in the, I don't even know what they're called. I can't even think of the word right now. I'm so sorry. But like some of these structure pieces, the scaffolding and stuff, I try to use those to make the overall frame here, because with these double towers, you typically have like a very unique frame to them, and this is what I'm trying to replicate, or at least somewhat, and I think we do a decent job by the end of this. I think it turns out okay, but it's a very tricky kind of getting the angles of the drop tower correct and everything like that, so I end up having to like shift them around over and over again. The reference picture that I'm actually using for this is Sasquatch at Six Flags Great Escape. If you've been watching this series, you'll hear me say Six Flags Great Escape like a million times. This park is so inspired by that, it's not even funny, and this is clearly, a rip from them, as they do have a S&S drop tower called Sasquatch, and it's a double tower, so it's like paired up. Usually, parks have the triple tower and stuff, but some smaller parks have a single tower, and then some smaller parks, which, American Dream would have, I think, a double tower. So, and of course, we're going to be putting it right next to the front entrance, like basically as soon as you turn left off of the village, which is our Main Street area, you are going to be seeing this ride. So it dominates the skyline. It's very tall. It's by far the tallest thing here. I think it looks amazing. Not to say that this drop tower is very tall, because actually it's not. And I wish the game had a scalable height, like you could customize the height of your drop tower. I don't even care if it's this model. I think it would just be cool if like you could just go higher and higher, or you can make it a little shorter if you want. I think that would be the best. I think that would be like the best thing ever. But maybe someday in an update, I don't know. But I'm like really hoping that's how it goes. The pieces that we're using to actually make the like structure here is the small like wooden plank pieces. I love these things. They're not even scaled down. I just have them as they regularly are, and I think they look fantastic. I freaking love these pieces. They're by far my favorite piece in the game. I've used them for so many different things, and I just think they look great. When you color them, they don't even look like wood. They look like metal. So it's great. You can just use them for pretty much anything. It's awesome. But yeah, making a pretty unique like structure, like S&S drop towers, especially the double towers, have like a pretty unique structure to them, and I'm trying to somewhat replicate that. I don't think it looks the best. It's definitely not 100% accurate, and it's also definitely not like very even, if that makes sense, on both sides. I did a pretty bad job at making it even on both sides. I think to the naked eye it looks fine, so I'm not too concerned about it. But if you slow down the time lapse, you'll see like a couple of spots where I'm just like struggling to get the angles right because they're not right. But yeah, so overall though, I think it came out really well. Of course, we're gonna color it all white, as you probably saw in the little intro video that I made. This ride would have opened up in maybe like 2000 or 2001, 2002, like early 2000s. And so like the style of video that I was trying to go for was like a early 2000s commercial. And honestly, I think it came out pretty nice, especially with like the very cheesy like American Dream at the end. I think it was funny. So, but yeah. But overall, this is pretty much it for like the actual building of the ride. I do copy and paste this American Dream because I was gonna make my own, just make it fresh. But honestly, this works, and I just scaled it up, and it looks great. Like it looks amazing here. So I'm very, very happy with how the overall logo came out. As you can see right now, I have the tower kind of colored a little bit more. I do change that back to white because I don't know, it's too much. The park would probably have this as white, even though like the ride would have like an overall teal theme, which, you know, the ride that we end up theming it. Not really. We kind of just decorate it. Like the sign, it has I guess like a light space theme. There's not really a theme to it. I mean, the ride's gonna be called Eclipse, but there's not really like a theme to it, I would say. It's kind of just a drop tower that they placed down. And we put it literally right there, and right next to the front entrance. It looks amazing there, I believe. Like, it looks absolutely awesome. If you go to Six Flags Great Escape Sasquatch, there at S&S Drop Towers, located right next to the front entrance. It looks awesome. It's freaking amazing. So, but yeah, this would have been put in like the early 2000s. Beforehand, there would probably be like a pavilion or something here, and you know, this was just like they saw this as an opportunity to add a new ride. So, they ended up going for it. Another thing that I would love to see in Planet Coaster would be to have like the actual S&S Drop Tower, like to have them connected. I would love to see like one queue line for just, you know, multiple towers. I think that would be so cool, but we have to make, you know, 2 different queue lines here, and you know, it ends up looking fine. I don't think it looks bad, but it ends up looking okay. I try to square them off the best I can. I'm really not that great with paths. I've watched a lot of tutorials and stuff, but I just can't get it. I don't know what it is. But yeah, as you can see, we kind of have like that big, like the bigger concrete path going through, and that's kind of acting as like the main queue line before you split off into the individual queue lines. So I'm hoping it's like enough for the people. I don't think this is going to be like the most popular ride in the park when it opens. I should open the park soon though to see where people go, so I can kind of organize that a little bit, because I don't want people spilling out of the midway. Definitely doesn't look good. Here we just put some canopies over these are the in-game canopies too. We put them over the queue line, and then we begin fencing. I use the most generic possible fence for this ride. Again, this is like literally, this is a flat ride. This is not meant to be this highly themed experience. This is simply just a drop tower that the park added in the early 2000s. They marketed it, and they spent all their money on the actual ride and couldn't, you know, afford any theming or something like that. I don't know. But it's definitely like, it has a loose space theme with like the signage and maybe the color scheme, as well as maybe the control panel building that we build. But really it's meant to be just kind of a generic drop tower. So that's really what we're going for. And I feel like a lot of times in the Planet Coaster games, you know, Planet Coaster 1 and 2, like making a generic theme can sometimes be harder than doing like an elaborate theme, just because like the game kind of gives you these big elaborate themed pieces, you know, but not much generic stuff. I mean, Planet Coaster 2 definitely gives you a little bit more of that generic style. Planet Coaster 1 though, especially when that first came out, it was literally just like pirate and western, and you know, you had to pretty much go with those themes. It was harder to make the individual, it was harder to make like a generic kind of theme to it. Here we are doing a custom fence to actually surround the ride. I just thought, you know, like they would have a bit of a higher fence, I think, around the actual ride, especially if it's right up against a midway. They would have a bit of a higher fence there, so we end up doing that, and it ends up coming out pretty nice. I think the fence looks really good. I made a similar fence to this in my build for the Vekoma Family Coaster that came out in the new DLC. It's called Bolt. It's on the channel if you haven't seen it. You should definitely check it out. But yeah, I made a very similar fence. That one actually I think came out a little bit better. I put a little bit more time and effort into it, sadly. I should have done the same thing for this one, but I still think it looks good. Yeah. So now we're going to build a control panel building. If you're not familiar with the S&S Towers or S&S like drop tower rides, they all have this high up building. They all have like a higher up control panel building. Maybe some of the smaller ones, you know, at like Playland and stuff don't have to this scale. But they usually have a control panel building inside a build. Like they have it like inside. It's not like an outside thing. Like some other flat rides, you know, a lot of flat rides do have just outdoor ride-op panels, but this I don't think would. And they have this, and basically the operator would be up here, and then there would be a attendant down on the ride platform. And if you look at the buildings, they all have glass panels so that the operator can see out to the towers, and then they also have a glass panel above the actual like the op panel, so they can look up the tower as part of their visual scan. And that's what we end up doing here. We end up building the 2 panels out to the side to see the towers, and then we also build the 2 panels out. We build a panel because, you know, this would basically be like a shared little space up top, and there you go. And I love the new glass pieces that they added in the new update. I'm very happy that they did that. I think it came out really, really nice. I think it looks good. And then we kind of just make a little interior here. I don't actually like fill it up with anything. I should put maybe like some art shapes in there to make like an op panel. I think that would be kind of cool, but I don't end up doing that in this video. And I am just kind of checking the views, making sure that you can see the tower from inside there, and you can. And of course, we're going to put like a little staircase and then make a little door for the ride operators to be able to get in and out. And yeah, I think it comes out relatively nice. It's a very simple squared off building, nothing fancy about it at all. Just using that generic fence again. And then I do believe we do a corrugated roof. You know how much I love my corrugated roofs. If you've been watching the series, I pretty much do a corrugated roof every time because it's so much fun. I absolutely love it. And yeah, just copying and pasting some of the pieces over here. And I do think, you know, again, the building is very, very generic, but I do think in the end it comes out really good and it looks nice. And here's me staring at my phone. There we go. Now we're back. And then now I believe it is time to start doing some of the foliage. I use the terrain soil, which again is an awesome big help in this game. I'm so happy that there's, you know, like a soil like texture. In previous Planet Coaster there just wasn't, and I hated that. It really, really sucked. There was like some things that are pretty close, but like the flower one and stuff, I didn't really like it. Or I think it was called like the meadow, or I don't know. But I didn't like it at all. And here's me just making kind of a very, very basic fence that should be in the game already, but it's not. I don't know why. I really do think that this should be in the game. It was in the original Planet Coaster. We had like a basic white fence, and it looked great. Sorry, not basic white fence, a basic wooden fence, and it looked great. And honestly, I used it more than like any other piece in the game. And sadly, we do not have it for Planet Coaster 2. I'm hoping that we get that in a DLC. The next DLC that we get, I really hope there's some scenery with it. I love the 5 rides that we got in the first one, but man, I really want some scenery pieces. And then now we're starting to do the bushes, and then we're gonna do a couple different flowers. I'm really not much of like a foliage guy. I kind of just go in a pattern around and try to just put flowers in some empty space. I don't fill it up too much. But I also don't fill it up too little. I kind of just try to fill the empty space, but also leave some dirt patches and stuff to, you know, at least make it look a little bit more bare and more realistic. Because at a park like this, at this scale, you're not having these like rows of flowers on flowers on flowers, you know. And there's also going to be a little bit more green than color. You know, green equals cheap, if that makes sense. You know, it's always the color flowers that are going to be more expensive. And then here's me just kind of finishing off the fencing. I do end up kind of using this little blank space to just put a generator. I feel like there just would be something here. There wouldn't just be like a blank area, you know? So I end up putting that there just to try to fill it up a little bit, and I think it comes out nice. I think it looks fine. And then we end up kind of doing this pathway over here. This is going to eventually lead to the Skyway station and the Skyway queue line. I do have to do that at some point. Probably, you know, next episode or something, we'll do that. But right now, taking it one episode at a time, you know, doing, you know, a couple little things here and there. I think it's working out very, very well. I think, you know, I'm still feeling pretty motivated for the park. You know, usually at this point, like with Planko specifically, I just get very, like, bored. I don't know. I get very bored of, you know, making parks, but honestly, I like the fact that I get to upload this on YouTube. I think it's helping me out a lot by, you know, finishing this. And it's still, like, I'm feeling good with it, you know? And plus, I feel like I'm still doing some pretty cool builds with it. You know, I'm not getting lazy. I'm really happy with how this park's coming out so far. Here we are making the entrance sign. I don't know. I play around with a couple different things, try to make something unique. It is a bit more of a generic sign, just using some of the pieces in the game. But I do think it comes out really good. I think it looks really awesome. Here's the ride's original name, actually. Yeah. Freefall. It's probably the most generic possible name for a drop tower. I don't know why I went with it initially, but I mean, I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything better, but it was around here. It was around here where I was like placing these letters down. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe Eclipse. I don't know why I thought of Eclipse. I just did, and you'll see here that I just get rid of Freefall. And yeah. Okay, I just write Eclipse. I have no idea why, I just did. It's kind of random, but hey, I think the name Eclipse works a lot better. Plus, we have like the star right there, the shooting star kind of going downward, which I just think it looks great. So it has like a little light of a space theme now. And by the way, when I say space theme, this is the theming. That is it. Like, that is the only part of this ride that I would consider themed. I would say the rest of it is just generic theme park or generic amusement park. And of course, you know, it's a completely different vibe here than it was in our last episode. The last episode felt very, you know, small and quaint and charming, while this, you know, feels very, almost corporate-esque, you know. It feels, you know, very just like ride plop down, with some, you know, foliage around. It doesn't necessarily look bad, but it's definitely not like, it's not as much, I guess, charming or as cared for, you know what I'm saying, as the fairy tale village that we built in the last episode. So, and that's kind of the tough balance with this park. That's kind of what I've been trying to reach with this park, is similar to Six Flags Great Escape, where you have like this very, very small and quiet park that has kind of been overtaken. I would say not overtaken, but, you know, a larger company bought it out and ended up, you know, pumping money into it. So there's kind of these two different vibes that it gives. Not to say that Six Flags Great Escape has gotten worse under Six Flags. I think if anything, it's gotten better. I love that park. It's amazing. But I mean, like, to kind of have that balance, to figure out how to do that, especially in a game like Planet Coaster, is definitely a challenge, and I love doing it. I think that challenge is great. So I don't know why I'm ranting. As you can see, we put on an entrance and an exit sign. I want to do that with more of the rides here, specifically the carousel and then the Freedom... oh my gosh. What is the name of the looping coaster? The Liberty Looper. Yeah, because this is my park. And I know that. That's crazy how I forgot that. Here we are, just kind of finishing off like this little plaza for the ride. You know, this would have been put in with when the ride opened. I'm thinking, like, again, there was just like a pavilion here, and the park decided to take it out and put in a new ride to bring in guests. So, but here we are, kind of just doing a couple more things. We're putting in the benches and also the trash cans, and then we are going to put a sign at the beginning of the ride, the entrance of the ride, that says launch or free fall. Just so like there's a difference in the variation. You can see me here changing the modes for the ride too. But that's pretty much it for the time lapse, and I will see you in the real-time portion. So we are now in the real-time portion, and man, this thing looks awesome from the front entrance. It absolutely towers over the whole park. Like, it is huge. It is massive. It looks amazing. I'm so happy with how the build turned out. There's obviously people that can build a way better S&S Drop Tower structure than me, but for my skill level and, you know, what I've been able to do with the game, I'm very, very proud of this build. So, but here it is. This is awesome. It looks absolutely fantastic. It just dominates the entry area. Wow. But here's the plaza with our entrance sign, and man, it just, oh my god, it's freaking huge over this thing. It looks awesome. wow. But yeah, the plaza came out really nice. It's super, super generic. That's exactly what I wanted. I think the entrance sign looks good. Even though it's basically just the regular game pieces, I think the entrance sign came out well. Here's some of the foliage that we did. There's the generator, a very, very small part of the build, but I think it looks awesome there. It's very realistic. And then, yeah, the queue line is pretty basic, but it gives some nice views of the ride. Here's the building for the operator to be in, the control building. I think it came out really nice. They can see out the roof, which is, you know, a very like realistic factor in these S&S Drop Towers. And here it is. You have your free fall and your launch side. And there's the queue line for the launch side, and then here's the queue line for the free fall side. I love the fencing that I used. It looks absolutely amazing. It's very, very generic. It's so generic, and that's exactly what I wanted for this build, is just generic. Oh God, I wanted generic so bad, and it looks amazing. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the entirety of the video. I think the build came out very, very nice. Please let me know in the comments, like, if there's any suggestions that you have. I saw some suggestions saying that I should do maybe like some small carts around the park, which I definitely want to do, but that's, I think, going to be an episode in its own where I build a couple small carts and then put them around. But yeah, I really want to hear some suggestions of like what I should do. How do you think the videos have been? Like, I want some feedback. But yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Ooh, why is that not in... Why is this not in free fall? Yeah, why is it shooting up? That is so random. Why? Maybe... I don't know. That is so random. What? It's this side's supposed to be the free fall side, and the other side's supposed to be the launch. What is Bungie? It's the same thing. Awesome. Alright. Well. I don't... Maybe... Alright. This was a horrible way to end the episode. It's still not working. Alright. So... Anyway, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and then I'll see you guys for part 6 of the American Dream amusement park. I think it's coming out really, really good. You guys have been very supportive. Hopefully next episode, I don't even know what I'm going to do, whatever comes to mind, I guess, but I'm hoping that you guys are here with me, so I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.